better than earnest. Do better next time when your life wasn't worth it. Don't wanna be nice, I just wanna be right. I don't wanna break bread. How much better would it be if we had to start fights?
difference in your facial expression. Don't tell me nothing's on your mind. If we're honest, it will all be fine. Someone wants to talk things through. The hardest thing is getting it out of you. I should sit back and give you a break, but you close your perfect eyes, cause there's no need to explain. I know what you wanna say. You should just say goodnight if you think that's alright. There's no need to explain. I know that we can relate. Can we get up and try to feel okay again? I'm getting too close. You say you love me most. It's hard to trust it, even though I want to. Need to get this shit out of my head before I flip this on myself and say, hey, please come over here. Lay your head right down, don't make a sound. I hear you loud and clear. There's no need to explain. I know what you wanna say. You just say goodnight if you think that it's alright. There's no need to explain. I know that we can relate. Can we get up and try to feel okay again? Can we get up and try to feel okay again? If we know we love each other, what's the concern? Fine with or without separation is sort of land. I'd wait for an hour, I'd wait for a year. Is your opinion on something I wanna hear? I know you never lie, but I self-sabotage. I know your love isn't just a mirage. I tend to panic if I can't reach out and grab it. I need to get out all these bad habits. There's no need to explain. I know what you wanna say. We could just say goodnight if you think that's alright. There's no need to explain. I know that we can relate. Can we get up and try to feel okay again? Can we get up and try to feel okay again? We can get up and try to feel okay again. We can get up and try to feel okay. Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Baratunde Thurston, coming to you tonight from Los Angeles, California. Welcome to the second Fridays for Unity, hosted by Rolling Stone. Tonight is a night to get excited about change and remind all of you of your voting options if you haven't yet cast your vote. And why haven't you done that yet? Listen, it's been a long 4 years, and we're in the home stretch. We're finally 4 days away from this crucial election day, and it is so exciting and optimistic to see the voter turnout already. As we're broadcasting this tonight, over 70 million of you have already voted. You get cookies. I love you so very much. Thank you so much. That's just mind-blowing and a sign that all of our mobilization is working. This is democracy in action. Let's keep it up and we can finish strong. We gotta finish strong. Seriously, I need this. Tonight, we are so excited to be teaming up with Stacey Abrams' Fair Fight Action and their new campaign, Civics for the Culture. Civics for the Culture is working with some of your favorite stars, like Issa Rae, Steph Curry, Yara Shahidi, and more, to fill the airwaves all across their powerful platforms and on tonight's platform to post videos that educate, energize, and mobilize young voters of color in battleground states. In lending their voices to this campaign, they all want to be sure that everyone is confident casting their ballot, that you all know what to expect when things go down with your vote, and that you know what to do if you encounter voter suppression. You'll hear from many of these Civics for the Culture ambassadors tonight. Adding to that, we've got an absolutely fantastic show lined up for you. We're going to have conversations between Democratic Party leaders and some of your favorite stars, like Pete Buttigieg and Paul Rudd, Senator Bernie Sanders and Killer Mike, the gang's getting back together, and Senator Sherrod Brown in not one, but two conversations with Ohio greats Kim and Kelly Deal of the Breeders, and later with Matt Berninger of The National. We've also got some inspiring musical performances for you throughout the whole show. We just kicked off the show with rock band Wallows, and just in the first half of the show, we'll hear from indie folk stars The Head and the Heart, Grammy Award-nominated R&B crooner Aloe Blacc, singer-songwriter Gus Dapperton, Nashville's own Margot Price, and Adia Victoria, and rock legend Warren Haynes. You'll also hear personal messages from a cavalcade. I'm a guy that uses words like cavalcade, by the way. A cavalcade of special guests, including Billie Eilish, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Padma Lakshmi, Judd Apatow, Abby Wambach, and Glennon Doyle, Representative Ayanna Pressley, and there's just too many to name. And we've got powerful videos throughout the show from art world legend Jenny Holzer as part of her Vote 2020 series. And be sure to tune in to Rolling Stone's YouTube on November 2nd for a special bonus celebration with Democratic superstar Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and rapper activist Princess Nokia. That is one you don't want to miss. But just to reiterate, there are 4 days left in this election. 4 days is 96 hours, okay? It's 5,760 minutes. That's 345,600 minutes. Or is that seconds? I get so confused. It's not a lot of time. It's enough time to watch Borat 2 64 times between now and Election Day. And I'd recommend you watch it at least once because it's pretty funny. It's actually super funny. So whether you're getting your snacks in order to go stand in line and vote in person, or you're dropping off your ballot at a polling place, just vote. If you were planning on voting by mail, it's time to change up that plan. Deliver it to a drop box or take it to a polling place. And bonus, no matter how you vote, you get a sticker. Don't we just do this for the stickers? I mean, democracy is great, but stickers, that's my thing. So get out there, get that sticker, take that sticker selfie. I do it for democracy, but really, I do it for the sticker. Seriously, if you don't have your voting plan yet, head to iwillvote.com. It's like a mecca, a giant HQ for voting information. It'll help you find your polling place. It lists early voting dates. It'll even help you register to vote if that's still permitted in your state. Because, fun fact, several states allow same-day voter registration on Election Day. Now, why it's not all the states, I don't know, but I'm not in charge of the whole country. I'm just the messenger here. You'll find all that key voting information on iwillvote.com. There are so many incredible organizations doing the good work to get out the vote across the country. We've included a short list of them in the caption below this video for you to check out and support in your own ways. Now, let's start the show. But before we dive in, let's hear from Stacey Abrams. In addition to serving in the Georgia House of Representatives and running for governor of that state, Stacey founded Fair Fight Action, a group that fights voter suppression. And if you've been watching the news this week, you know that's a serious problem. I'm not even gonna name the states. You know what's going on out there. After Stacey, we're gonna throw it right to Mayor Pete and Paul Rudd. Mayor Pete obviously established himself as one of the rising stars of the Democratic Party during the primary season. He's a Navy vet, a graduate of Harvard and Oxford, humble brag, and he was mayor of South Bend, Indiana from 2012 to 2020. He was also the first openly gay person to launch a major presidential campaign. Mayor Pete will be talking to none other than the star of Ant-Man, Clueless, Wet Hot American Summer, and Anchorman, Paul Rudd. But first, Stacey Abrams. Enjoy the show.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stacey Abrams. Thank you for joining us tonight from around the country for Fridays Are for Unity. On behalf of Fair Fight Action and our new campaign, Civics for the Culture, we are so thrilled to be teaming up with Rolling Stone for this incredible event. We are deep into election season, and the last day to vote is November 3rd. That means it's time to make your plan to vote right now and encourage your family and friends to do the same. We know there are bad actors with the intent of silencing the voices of our communities, but when we fight, we win. And this election season, we can win and reshape the future of this nation. Tonight, we want to give you the tools you need to fight back and make sure your voice is heard by Election Day. We cannot let what we see around us distract us from victory on the horizon. We cannot panic nor delay. We must ensure that we cast our ballots as soon as possible. Across the nation, we are seeing historic voter turnout from young people, communities of color, and those who felt left out or left behind. Millions of voters are eager to participate in our democracy and cast their ballots for candidates who will provide the policy changes we need to ensure progress for our families and our country. Our votes are our collective power. The best way to combat voter suppression is by overwhelming the system with our votes. So remember, don't panic and don't delay. Make your plan to vote right now. We have the ability to shape the future we deserve. So use your power to reunite the states of America and our people. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, nice to see you.
I'm so pleased to be able to talk to you. It's a bit surreal. I'm a fan of yours, and I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm a little nervous, but I'm going to seize this opportunity. First,
Well, likewise, I'm really honored to be with you. I remember when, especially when you're a mayor from Indiana in your 30s, you think you're getting somewhere with your presidential campaign, but you're not sure. And you turn on the TV and Paul Rudd's playing you on SNL. That's when you feel like you're really getting somewhere. So,
well, thank you for saying that. I apologize. I thought, I bet he's going to see this. And I'm not so sure this is such a great representation. It isn't. I kept thinking, what are your characteristics? I mean, you roll up your sleeves, but outside of that, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I was just flattered to have you in the role. So everything else was gravy.
Well, I appreciate that. And to be able to talk to you is very cool. Do I call you Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pete?
Pete's fine.
Pete. Okay. Well, please call me Paul.
Sounds good.
Pete, one of these things that we routinely hear every election cycle is that this is the most important election of our lives. And while I think that is true, it's pretty understandable that people are skeptical if they hear that over and over again.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if you could explain why you think this really is the most important election of our lives.
Well, the way I see it, we're coming into the most important decade of our lives, where a bunch of decisions that will be made in a short amount of time that will affect how life unfolds for the rest of our lives. You think about what's going on with our climate. Scientists tell us we've got until about 2030, our last chance to really stop the worst permanent effects. But for any of that to happen by 2030, we got to be underway like yesterday. And that's only going to happen if we elect a president who believes in climate change. You look at the racial injustice in this country, and probably the number one thing that's threatened to swallow the whole American project over the years, especially during the Civil War, but not only during the Civil War, is white nationalism and white supremacy, and it's rearing its head right now. I really think these years coming up ahead of us are either when we beat it down for good, or when it really does devour the potential of America. So whether we're talking about beating the pandemic or economic justice, racial justice, climate change, so many things are about to happen. So many decisions are about to be made that will kind of get locked in to set up the future of our lives. It so matters who's in charge. And, at this kind of tender moment in American history, I want to make sure it's somebody like Joe Biden and not a guy like Donald Trump, because we know what we're getting with the current president. And we know what the cost would be to 4 more years of that.
Do you remember about a year or two ago, there was that thing of online, people would say, you hear Yanni or do you hear Laurel? People would hear one thing or the other. Yeah. And it's like, if you heard Laurel, there was no way anyone was going to convince you that it was saying Yanni. It's like, I hear it with my own ears and vice versa. And I felt like that was a bit of a metaphor to where we're at politically, that no matter what is presented to us, whatever you believe, the other side is out of touch.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, how do we fix that? Regardless of what happens in this next election, there's going to be a large group of people who are distraught and really upset.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of this is bigger than politics, right? Some of this is how our whole country's come to be divided. But I still think it's part of what's at stake in politics. And, part of what we have a chance right now to do is to get back in touch with our ground truth. I might not view political issues the same way as a neighbor here in Indiana might, but we might have some shared values about how the world's supposed to work, about the importance of decency or empathy or hard work. And of course, I believe those are very much at stake in my support for the Biden-Harris ticket. But they may have a totally different sense of politics. I think a lot's going to depend on having leadership where there's an instinct to call us together. Every mayor's got to learn how to do it. You can't function as mayor if you can't bring people together. And presidents should too. But it's not only going to be up to a president to solve this problem, right? Yes, we've got to elect a president whose instinct is to heal and not to divide. And, I think this could be a season for that, because what I find is way more people than you would think are calling out for that kind of change.
I hope we can kind of fix some of that with the Supreme Court. And I've just been wondering, when did the Supreme Court just become when did it become accepted that it's so partisan? I mean, isn't the entire point of the Supreme Court to have just judicial justices that interpret the Constitution that are impartial?
Yeah, I think that's really important. Many of the moments that really built the legitimacy of the Supreme Court are moments when it voted in ways or decided cases in ways that people weren't expecting, maybe because they assumed that people would kind of stick to an ideological line. And yet we're seeing more and more of these kind of 5-4 votes or 6-3 votes that really do almost make it feel like the court has parties just the way the Senate does. And it's not supposed to. It's one of the reasons I think we ought to look at measures that would make the court a less politicized body over time. But I also think it's why, just like the rest of our politics, I hope that the law and the courts can hold themselves accountable to the most basic element of why any of this matters, which is that it hits our lives. And in my case, I think about healthcare for people in my family that I love. I think about the existence of my marriage and how that was at stake and might unfortunately still be at stake in what's going before the court. So many issues that get talked about in these arcane terms of legal academia. But in the end, it's about our everyday lives. And they're going to go better or they're going to go worse, depending on decisions that are made by politicians and depending on decisions that are made by judges and justices. And I think we've got to hold that in mind. And that's part of what propels my involvement, the knowledge that my life and my family's life, my neighbors' lives will go differently and better, I believe, if we have better leadership. And I'm really moved and glad to see that you're so engaged too. And I wonder what propelled you to do that. It's one thing to be visible the way you are. It's another to decide to take that and use that as a chance to reach people and let people know how important their power is as voters. So what's motivating you to vote this year, but also what's motivating you to ask others to vote too?
Well, there's a lot motivating me to vote. I suppose I've always been a politically minded person. I've always believed in human rights, first and foremost. I just think that everybody should be treated the same. If you're a woman, you should have every opportunity, just as a man, does, or if you're a minority or an immigrant. And I just think that if you believe in human rights, there's really only one way to go here. But I still believe that truth and science and climate change, decency, human rights, kindness, and democracy are all things that are still worth fighting for. And I think that it's important for my kids to see that their mom and dad care.
Yeah.
And I feel this strongly about it that I wanted to speak out. I'm from flyover country too. I grew up in the Midwest, and it's frustrating to see red and blue. It's like you vilify the other side. I certainly know people that are Republicans, and I just think that, like you say, there's common ground. And if we can just talk to each other civilly and maybe come to some conclusions of the way the world should be, that, we should at least try.
Yeah. Well, and I think now's our chance, right? I mean, that's why it's so inspiring to see that there's a lot of Republicans and independents coming together with Democrats saying, hey, this isn't my party, but this is, these are things I care about. So I'm glad people are doing that. I'm really glad that you're stepping up and making your voice heard too, because I think it's one of those things that's it's just an all hands on deck moment for all of us who care about where we're headed. The good news is we could come out on the other side of this really proud of what we did together this year. And then we've got a lot of work to do together that hopefully.
Yeah. Then it starts. Well, God willing, we get to that place. Because we do have a lot of work ahead of us. Yeah. Well, thank you for everything you do and everything you continue to do. And and it's been a thrill for me to be able to talk to you today.
Same here. Appreciate it. Take care.
Hey everybody, it's Charity
and Maddie
from The Head and the Heart, and we wanted to remind you all to check your polling location.
Yeah, because voting is happening right now, so it's time to check where you're going to vote.
And some locations have changed, so make sure you know where you're going to vote.
And you can find out by going to iwillvote.com to find your polling location.
Take care.
Yeah, take care, everybody. Go vote!
Put your dreams away for now. I won't see you for some time. I am lost in my mind. I get lost in my mind. Mama once told me, you're already home where you feel love. I am lost in my mind. I get lost in my mind. Oh, my brother, your wisdom is older than me. Oh, my brother, don't you worry about me. Don't you worry, don't you worry, don't worry about me. How's that brick lane coming? How's your engine running? Is that bridge getting built? Are your hands getting filled? Won't you tell me, my brother? There are stars up above. We can't stop moving forward. Alright, how's that brick lane coming? How's your engine running? Is that bridge getting built? Are your hands getting filled? Won't you tell me, my brother? 'Cause there are stars up above. We can't stop moving forward. I got a lot on my mind
Welcome to Fridays for Unity with Rolling Stone. It is so important that we all get out the vote, like our lives and all of our futures depend on it. We all need to actively vote out this administration and bring in new leaders that will fight against inequality, that will listen to scientists, and that will work to help our divided country. So please stay safe, wear a mask, and vote.
Hey, I'm Yara Shahidi, and I'm proud to be in the fight to protect the vote with Fair Fight Action and their new campaign, Civics for the Culture. Voting is happening right now. It's time to check where you're going to vote. Some locations have changed, so make sure you know where you're going to vote. And let's get it done.
Your vote is important because this is the most consequential election, not just in our lifetime, but in our nation's history. Our civil rights, our freedom, our very lives, and our democracy are all on the ballot. These are unprecedented times. We need to do unprecedented organizing, unprecedented mobilizing, unprecedented voting. And don't forget, our work doesn't end in November. It's only just beginning. So call your friends, call your neighbors, and make sure they have a plan to vote.
Hey, this is Willie. It don't matter how you vote or who you vote for, just go vote. Vote now, vote quick, hurry up. You can vote up until October 30th and on up until November 3rd, which is the last day that you could vote, but just go vote.
Your vote is important because our votes are our voice, and our voices can change things in this election. Look, y'all, as you go to the polls over the next couple of days, because to be clear, people are voting right now all across this country. Election day should be really called election deadline. So as we're going to the polls over the next couple of days across this country, and as people cast their ballot on November 3rd, they are voting for protection of pre-existing conditions. Folks are going to the polls voting for a more equitable economy that works for everyone. People are going to the polls voting for criminal justice reform. They're going to the polls voting for leadership that listens, voting for a president and a vice president that will listen to the scientists. They are voting for empathy. Hopefully, you're going to the polls and voting for Joe Biden as the next president of the United States and Kamala Harris for vice president. Look, Joe Biden, if he were sitting here, my boss, he would tell you that we are the United States of America, and there is nothing we cannot do when we come together. If Joe Biden were sitting here, he would tell you that this election in 2020, the people will be heard. It is our voices that have the power, y'all, but we absolutely have to use it. So over the next couple of days and on November 3rd, I hope you are exercising your power and your voice, because your vote is so important, because your vote can make the difference this election. Your vote can help save this country. Your vote can change lives. So excited, guys. I'll see you at the polls.
And we're back. We've got so much show for you tonight. It's ridiculous. It's almost like too much show, but there's no such thing, because we deserve this, because 2020 has not been very good to many of us. So let's take the show. Coming up, we've got some incredible performances for you, including by Grammy-nominated R&B superstar Aloe Blacc and 23-year-old bedroom pop sensation Gus Dapperton. Plus, Margot Price and Adia Victoria performing their rendition of Bob Dylan's Things Have Changed, followed by Allman Brothers legend Warren Haynes. But first, you're not gonna wanna miss this. We've got a conversation with the senator from Vermont who needs no introduction. He's got amazing hair. He energized the Democratic Party with his presidential campaigns in 2016 and 2020. He'll be talking with one of his biggest supporters, a Grammy-winning hip-hop artist, one half of Run the Jewels, entrepreneur, activist, and now owner of Greenwood Bank. Please welcome Killer Mike in conversation with Senator Bernie Sanders.
Killer Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Senator Sanders. How are you? It's good to see you.
All right, let me ask you a simple question, Mike.
Yeah.
What's this election mean to you?
And this election to me is Americans kind of showing American politicians the rudder of the boat still steers the boat. I think that we've gotten very comfortable being led by people we just vote for and think about every 4 years. But it seems that voters are really engaged from the ground up now, from everything from local elections. And I think that it goes all the way up national. So I'm very encouraged by voter turnout. I just read an article this morning that talked about a record number out of the African-American community in terms of voting. So I'm very proud. No matter what happens, even though I know what I want to happen November 3rd, I want the good guys, to win, meaning the progressives that are within the party. And I want to see us stay active locally. I think that as important as this election is, more important is after this election day, we plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize as progressives on the ground.
Mike, what's your vision of the America? You're a young guy and you're in the struggle. Where do you want this country to be in 20 or 30 years? We know we can't do everything overnight. What's your vision? What's the America you want to see?
I'd like to see, I remember you telling me, and I'll never forget, we were in the Civil Rights Museum of sorts. And you said, Mike, you're going to be a billionaire. And I'm going to tax the hell out of you too. And I laugh and joke because I often tell people that I worked my butt off to become a rapper and become a businessman and become a millionaire. But I have never minded paying slightly higher taxes if it were about a 20 or 30-year investment in America. Meaning I'd like to be a very old man knowing that in my middle age, I made the right decision in terms of investing in American jobs, investing in American kids' education, and investing in things, social programs such as healthcare for all. If I can help to do that in a more expedient process than I've been able to, I'll do that and I'll fight like hell to make sure. And if not, I'm still going to fight like hell because in 20, 30 years, I would like to turn to my grandchildren and say that I made not only a deposit in the bank in a penny savings or any stock or something, but I made an actual social commitment to paying my fair share plus some to make sure that I had invested in families that may not have been as fortunate as mine.
And let me ask you this. You talk to a lot of people. What are you hearing out on the street? What are people sensing about the America we're living in today?
What I'm inspired by with Americans is I have seen on the ground progressives really make headway. In Atlanta, we had a 24-year prosecutor here who's a Black man, but no one really liked his prosecutorial record. He prosecuted teachers. He prosecuted young men to the fullest extent of the law. He was more about punitive justice than restorative justice. We have a young woman who was more progressive than him, had served in his administration, but thought that we needed more progressive polity and restorative justice, and she won the election. So what I'm seeing is on the ground, progressive people and people with progressive-minded policy are running for office. And I'm also seeing small donations and footwork by regular everyday people are making a huge difference. So what I'm seeing from people is it's hope-filled. It's based around plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. So I've seen us more involved than ever, and I'm hoping that trend continues post-election.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And what you're seeing in Atlanta and in Georgia, in fact, is taking place all over this country.
Yeah.
When we talk, people don't perhaps know this, but when we talk about the need for criminal justice reform, you know what you're talking about? You're talking about prosecutors, you're talking about district attorneys, you're talking about people at the local level who, as Mike just said, are not, all about throwing everybody into jail, but trying to figure out the causes of crime, how we can get people out of jail who have not committed violent crimes. You want to say a word on that, Mike? You feel strongly about this criminal justice system.
I told people I was terribly impressed in your campaign. I remember us talking about marijuana. We were in the Carolinas. And I said, Senator, it's not only enough that we let nonviolent drug offenders out, but if they've spent the last 30, 40 years suffering under the drug war and the policy, I think that the young men in particular, young men and women that are getting out with nonviolent drug offenses should have a pathway directly into marijuana. Marijuana legislation has been passed, and it was passed in 1937. It was banned on the backs of Black and brown people, saying that as a drug, it courted white women into being seduced by Black jazz musicians, and it was something that was being brought in by Mexican immigrants. Every kind of nightmarish, liar thing to be told. And now that it opened back up, it seems that the only guys that got to get into it were fraternity brothers out of some of the Ivy League universities. You quickly adjusted and said, absolutely, they should get out and they should have a pathway in. It made me not only respect you and your campaign more, but it made me understand how important it is that we have voices that are from the struggle actually involved in shaping law. So I want to encourage people on the ground to stay involved in it, because as marijuana, which is, I believe, going to be much like alcohol and much like things that were prohibited, is going to open up. And the people on the ground, we shouldn't have to wait 20 years for a craft brew movement. We should make sure people on the ground have the opportunity to be participating in that right now.
So many lives, God, so many lives, and you know this better than I do, have been impacted. It's not just the people who are sent away to jail. It's if you have a criminal record, right? You go out and get a job. It is hard to get that job. So we're also talking about expunging the records of those people arrested for marijuana.
The most beautiful thing in all of the tragedy of this year is many of your opponents on the Democratic side and on the other side of the aisle had to incorporate pieces of your policy in order to save these people. And that's bigger than the ego of saying I was right, and more about his policy is right. Even if we don't get Sanders in office, let's make sure his policy makes it in office. And I want to appreciate you that healthcare for all mattered more than this year than anyone. We got a chance to see the need for healthcare. Universal basic income or some type of income or subsidy right now is needed. We understand the need for jobs to pay more, the need for the return of manufacturing jobs to America. And in having a chance to sit down with my Republican governor in Georgia, and helping to put together what's going to be a trades initiative to get young people into the building trades, building this infrastructure the next 20, 30 years, it's something I got directly out of your campaign. So I'm terribly impressed by your policy still. I hope that progressives on the ground around the nation fight and forward that. And I'd just like to tell Americans, as I travel the world, the fight that you're fighting on the behalf of the people is being fought around the world. The fight that you're fighting to get the state to stop abusing people is happening in places like Nigeria. It's happening in places like China. So I'd like to encourage Americans on the ground to understand that not only are we proud Americans in doing what's right by our country, when we do what's right by our country in terms of being a fair and more sincere place, we're doing what's right by the world on the world stage as well.
Let me just put an exclamation point to what Mike just said. We are the most powerful nation on earth. And if we move, for example, into an authoritarian type society here, that sends a signal to every country in the world they can move in that direction. But if we are proud in our democracy, if we guarantee human rights to our people, if we make sure that healthcare is a right for all, if we have decent wages, this is America. Why don't we have the best educational system in the world?
Absolutely.
Right? We can do it if we think big. And, you know, the point that Mike made starting off this discussion is change is going to take place at the grassroots level. It's when millions of people demand it, and I think we're beginning to see that. Now, we got a week left to go to this election. To my mind, it is enormously important that we defeat the incumbent, who I think is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. And I think if we can get Biden in the White House, we open the door. We're not going to solve all the problems, but we're going to open the door to the kinds of ideas we need to protect working families.
Absolutely. I'll agree with you. I have to say that although I've not talked to Biden, I've had a couple conversations with Senator Harris. I'm very encouraged by her statements in terms of what she plans to do and help this country do in terms of policy. I'm very encouraged that as a former prosecutor, that she wishes to stir us in a more restorative justice place. And I will say those conversations with her in particular, and her recently in the last few days, and a bunch of kids from Spelman and Morehouse have caused me also to say, you know, I want to see her in office. So I'm cheering for the same team you are on this one, sir.
Okay. Well, very good. Hey, Mike, let's win this thing.
Yes, sir.
And keep up the great work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Love and respect. Have a good night, sir.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, Rolling Stone, for inviting me to Fridays for Unity. I'm hopeful that this election cycle will have the highest voter turnout in recent years, and for many reasons, millions of people have realized their political potential and are exercising their political will. Your vote is important because this is the way for your voice, your opinion, your beliefs to be heard on a national level. This song is called Hold On Tight. Where's your smile gone? 'Cause it don't shine no more. There's a light on, but you don't open the door. When you're ready, you can tell me what's wrong. I've had trouble and there's no hiding that. If you're struggling, let me know where you're at. Life gets heavy and that road can be long. When the rain comes and the sky's falling down in your darkest hour, when there's no one around, it won't be long till your pain's gone. Just hold on tight to me. Hold on tight, hold on. When you feel like crying, go on and let it out. Just remember, the sun is shining behind the clouds. It won't be long till your pain's gone. Just hold on tight to me. Hold on tight, hold on. Sometimes the worry can get the best of us, and I understand how you could lose your trust. Let me show you that here is where you belong. I could be your shoulder to cry on. You'll find comfort in my arms. I could be your shelter on solid ground. Falling down in your darkest hour, when there's no one around, it won't be long till your pain's gone. Just hold on tight to me. Hold on tight, hold on. When you feel like crying, go on and let it out. Just remember, the sun is shining behind the clouds. It won't be long till your pain's gone. Just hold on tight to me. Hold on tight, hold on. Thank you.
Hello, Fridays for Unity. You know, I sure wish that we could be together in person, but we know it's just not possible right now. Even so, I wanted to join you because election season is here, and I don't know about you, but I am ready. Across this country, Americans are already getting out to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to restore the soul of this nation. And I'm going to do everything in my power to get this job done. But Joe and Kamala are going to need a team of bold, courageous Democrats up and down the ballot to get big things done in 2021. And that is where you come in. To make change, we need to take action now. We need to build a grassroots electoral movement that can unite and excite Americans up and down the ballot. So today, I'm asking you to do two things. First, vote. Vote, 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 vote early, mail in your ballots, make a plan to vote on election day, do whatever it takes to make your voice heard. But don't stop there. Recruit your friends and your family and your colleagues to vote like democracy depends on it, because it does. And once this election is over, we all need to stay in the fight to build an America that works not just for a handful at the top, but that works for everyone. It's an honor to fight alongside you. So let's get this job done.
Hey everyone, we already knew they would try it. That's why I'm supporting Fair Fight Action and their new campaign, Civics for the Culture. Your vote matters. If it didn't, they wouldn't try to take it away from you. Voting is your right, and as long as you're eligible and registered, no one can take that away from you. So, we got your back. Or call 866-OUR-VOTE if you have any questions. That's 866-687-8683. Vote.
Your vote is important because we need to support civil rights. We need to support women's right to choose. We need to solve this climate change nightmare. We need a non-corrupt government. We need a sane person at the helm. Your vote is important because I can't take any more. We're all out of gas. Let's start over. Let's do better.
Your vote is important because the future of families like ours and yours depends on it.
And because voting won't change everything, but without voting, we can't change anything.
Your vote is important because America is in a lot of trouble. We are the epicenter of the world's coronavirus death, suffering, and we are because of the incompetence of Donald Trump. The biggest problem in America is also the easiest one to fix. And we can fix it by voting Donald Trump out of office and replacing him with a good man, Joe Biden.
Hey everybody, Bobby Cannavale here. Listen, not everybody in this country believes in progress. You know that. Not everybody believes in real change. Well, I do. And that's why I'm imploring you to vote this year. I refuse to stand by and allow the forward progress of our country, be it cultural or political, to be halted or, even worse, reversed. I'm voting to ensure that all Americans receive health care. I'm voting so that all Americans are free to love whomever they choose without fear of persecution. I'm voting because I believe that women have the final say over who's in control of their bodies. Look, we've made real progress with our votes here in America over the years, but there is still so much to be done. Your vote ensures that the wheels of progress always keep rolling forward. They don't stop, and they sure as fuck don't roll backward. There's a lot of power in your vote, and there's a lot at stake in this election, so please get out there today and vote.
I believe that the biggest issues of our time, from the climate crisis to racial injustice to indigenous sovereignty, are all connected, and we have the power to build within the intersections to create a new world. So please vote.
Your vote is important because if you love to run, hike, climb, ski, snowboard, fish, or hunt, preserving and protecting the places that we love outdoors is on the ballot. None of us want raging fires out west or shrinking winters. These are nonpartisan issues. But being nonpartisan doesn't mean that we don't get involved in the political system. I'm asking you to join us at Protect Our Winners to make a plan to vote. Protect Our Winners has made it simple. To get started, go to makeadamnplan.org. Get out and vote.
What's up, guys? I'm Gus Dapperton. To my left, we have Sarah. To my other left, we have Amadel. To my right, we have Yendog, and back here on the drums, we have T. Ramos. Shout out to Rolling Stone for putting this on. It's really important that you go out and vote this year because the world is suffering and our country is suffering from our current government, and people fear for their lives every day. So it's important that we do everything in our power to change that. So make sure to go out and vote. We're going to be playing a song for you today called Palms. Nobody's home. There never was. But her alma mater, it is medicine. It's not your thought. No, it never was. Her love is only daughter, like he never could. And now you're stuck, replacing my own tongue. It's not a need to talk. I'll read your palm. Lead me on. Lead me on. There's no need to talk. I'll read your palm. Lead me on. some help, love. You said enough, I am done with the self-love now. I have no doubt, although my faith's been besieged, see you can release me. I should have known that you're gone, but pretending there's nothing false with inventing lies to hide your guys. Though it's not easy to see through this, no need to talk. I'll read your palm. Lead me out. Lead me out. There's no need to talk. I'll read your palm. Lead me out. Lead me out. Thank you.
What's up, everybody? Voting is the first step. Voting breaks cycles. Cycles of oppression, suppression, and silencing. We are voting for a better life and a better country. That's why I'm supporting Fair Fights Action's new campaign, Civics for the Culture. Make sure you're prepared to vote by making a plan to vote, whether it's by mail, during early voting, or on Election Day. But did you know that Election Day, November 3rd, is the last day to vote? That's why it's so important to make a plan to vote right now. Go to iwillvote.com for help with making your plan. You can get info to vote by mail, early voting locations and hours, and your Election Day polling location. Don't wait. Make your plan today and vote.
Your vote is important because the environment is important. Your vote is important because the economy is important. Your vote is important because we need respect and equality. We need a president who we can look up to or at least admire in some way. We need a president and vice president we can believe, who believes in equality and is against racism and discrimination. Your vote is important because you're important, and every vote counts, as every citizen should count equally. Don't forget to vote.
Your vote is important because, well, by itself, it isn't really important, but when you turn your vote in and it joins everyone else's voice, it gets heard. It changes the course of history. It becomes one unignorable voice. It's like protest. You know, there's a big difference between one person marching in the street and 100,000 people marching in the street. But unless each one comes out and shows up, there's no protest. There's no voice. Your voice matters. Your vote matters.
Your vote is important to us because many African Americans, many white Americans, many Americans died for us to have this right to vote. Your vote is important to us because voter suppression is happening in a rate that I've never seen before in my lifetime. It is important to vote. Your vote is important. Vote.
Hello, I'm Rita Jo Lewis, National Chair of Women of Color for Biden. As a progressive, pragmatic grassroots network of Black, Latina, Asian, Indian, and Native American women, we formed a collective intergenerational coalition of women who are concerned about the leadership and direction of this country. We're committed to electing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris into the White House on November 3rd. So we're excited to be able to join in this national Get Out the Vote effort this evening with Fridays for Unity and Rolling Stone.
Hello, I'm Martha Plimpton, and I'm urging you to vote by standing in front of some of the women in my family who came before me, who fought for their right to vote and fought for all of our right to self-governance. I stand here proudly, grateful for them, grateful for the work they did, grateful for the service that they paid to our country, and hoping that each and every one of you recognizes all of these women's sacrifice in their own way. I know it's different from other people's kinds of sacrifice, but what are you going to do? You do what you can do when you can do it. And now you can do it, so vote.
Ready, dear? Yeah.
Worried woman with a worried mind. No one in front of me and nothing behind. Sitting in a strange man's lap, drinking champagne. He's got white skin and an assassin smile. I'm looking up under the sapphire sky, well dressed, waiting on the last train. Feel like standing in the gallows with my head in a noose. Any minute now, any minute, I'm expecting all hell to break loose. Oh, people are crazy, times are strange. Oh, I'm locked in tight and I'm way out of range. I used to care, but things have changed.
For the miles of bad road, the Bible's right, the whole damn world is wrong. I've been trying to get just as far away from myself as I can. Some things in life too hard to touch. The human mind can understand so much. You can lot of water under the bridge. There's a lot of other stuff too. Don't get up, gentlemen. I'm just passing on through. But people are crazy. Times are strange. Oh, I'm locked in tight and I'm way out of range. I used to care, but things have changed.
This place, it ain't doing me no good. I
60 seconds could be like an eternity. Go again, float down, I fly real high. The truth in the world is just a one big lie. I'm in love with a man that don't even appeal to me. Some folks might just go and jump right in lane. I ain't that eager to make that kind of mistake. People are crazy, times are strange. Oh, I'm wrapped inside and I'm way outraged. I used to care, things have changed. 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 Things have
I'm Marianne Bashir from the Gorham Anti-Racism Development here in the state of Maine. Every single day we're striving to change the corrupt systems that have led to the deaths of many black men and women across this country. While doing so, we must also honor and remember the black men and women who dedicated their lives to fighting for our right to change the system by voting. People like Frederick Douglass, Ida B. Wells, Malcolm X, Mary Church Terrell, and so many more. You have the power to carry on the legacies of these incredible black men and women by practicing your right to vote in this upcoming election.
What's up, what's up? Phoenix activist Armani D. Jackson here to let you guys know that your vote is important because your voice is important. With the inevitable confirmation of Judge Amy Barrett and the continuous fight to protect black lives, it is imperative now more than ever that our voices be heard to protect our civil rights. So please get up, get out, and vote and do what you can. As I always say, do what you can from where you are with what you have.
Your vote is important because you have untapped voting power. In fact, in the last presidential election, only 46% of eligible young voters exercised their right to vote. With everything that's going on, ranging from racial injustice, environmental decay, gun control, we can't sit this one out. That's why I encourage you all to activate your voting power, create a voting plan, whether it be to vote by mail or in person on November 3rd. Tell a friend, pull up, and vote. Our future depends on it.
Your vote is important because if you don't have hope for our democracy, then I ask you to think of voting as simply step one in the larger movement to shift the power. America's never had so much collective energy behind the voices of those most marginalized, because voting is not just for you or for me. America's never wanted people who look like you or me to vote. Your vote won't alone change this country, but it does matter, because together, all of us voting for who and what matters, we can create the change we deserve.
Hey, this is Gabrielle Union, and I am so excited to talk to you about Fair Fight Action and their new campaign, Civics for the Culture. Let's talk about voting early, making a plan to vote, learning about all of the initiatives and all of the campaigns that are on the ballot that you'll be voting for that affect you. All right? Once you make a plan, help somebody else make a plan. That's what it's all about. Thanks so much.
When you can't find the light that guides you through a cloudy day, when the stars ain't shining bright, it feels like you've lost your way. when the candle lights of home burn so very far away. Oh, you got to let your soul shine, just like my daddy used to say. Used to say soul shine is better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. It's damn sure better than rain. The people don't mind. We all feel this way sometimes. Got to let your soul shine, shine till the break of day. I grew up thinking I had it made, gonna make it on my own. But life can take the strongest man and make him feel so alone. And now sometimes I feel a cold wind blowing through my aching bones. I think back to what my daddy said. He said, boy, in this darkness before the dawn, let your soul shine. It's better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. It's damn sure better than rain. Yeah, now people don't mind. We all feel this way sometimes. Got to let your soul shine, shine till the break of day. Sometimes a man can feel this emptiness, like a woman has robbed him of his very soul. And a woman too, God knows she can feel like this. Well, hey, when your little world seems cold, you got to let your spirit take control. I'm talking about sunshine. It's better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. It's damn sure better than rain. People don't mind. We all feel this way sometimes. Got to let your soul shine. Yeah, shine on and on and on and on. Better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. Damn sure better than rain. The people don't mind. We all get this way sometimes. Got to let your soul shine. Yeah. Shine on and on and on and on and on. On to the break of day.
Hey everybody, hope you are really enjoying the show. This is a reminder to check out iwillvote.com and make sure you are all set and registered in your state, and to determine the best voting plan for you and for your friends. Because friends don't let friends not vote. That's a little something I just made up. Practice it in your life with your actions. Next up, we've got another incredible round of inspiring messages. But first, give it up for platinum certified rock band Portugal the Man.
Pain was the color of paint on you. Your heart would be the color blue. It'd be a gradient from there until your body makes your head rich and baby silver. You are the one they call Jesus Christ. Did it on a rock and roll. Soldiers say it'll be alright. We've been making through the war, if we make it through the night. All the people, they say. What a lovely day, yeah, we won the war. Men lost 1 million men, but we got 1 million more. All the people, they say. The people, they say. It'll be alright, it'll be alright. It'll be right now. It'll be alright, it'll be alright. It'll be right now. It'll be alright, it'll be alright. It'll be right now. And all the people, they say.
Hi everyone, I'm Kiki Palmer and I'm excited to support Fair Fight Action and their new campaign, Civics for the Culture. We must make our voices heard in the streets and at the ballot box. We must demand change by voting. One of the easiest and most convenient ways to vote in this election is by voting early. Make a plan. See if early voting is available in your state and then decide where and when you're going to vote. If you have any questions about voting, you can also call 866-OUR-VOTE.
Your vote is important because we can win this. We can actually do it. We can actually flip the Senate. We can actually win the White House. It's not magical thinking. We have the numbers, we have the momentum, the message, and the majority of the American people are on our side. The dream of moving on from this chaos and divisiveness can come true. The only reason it won't happen if you don't vote. Without your vote, the numbers are meaningless. We have no momentum, no majority, and it's just a dream. I know it's never been more challenging to vote, but please do whatever it takes to cast your vote.
Sonny Jane, we need your vote. Your vote matters. There's too many issues on the table this year. Women's rights, Black Lives Matter, Affordable Care Act. We need your vote. Get out there and vote. Vote and get it.
Hi, I'm Nikki Freed, Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services. I'm at what will be an important voting site here in Leon County. Your vote is important because healthcare, social justice and equality, our environment and our environmental future are on the ballot. So make sure you make a plan to vote.
Your vote is important. We have to make a decision in this country whether we want a race-baiting, xenophobic in the White House or we want decency to win out. We're often told that this is the most important election in a lifetime. This one truly is because our democracy is at stake. Please get out there and vote. Let your voice be heard because we can no longer continue in this divided country. We need someone like Joe Biden to bring our country together.
Your vote matters because so many people have protested, marched, fought, have lost their lives for us to have the opportunity to express our voice through our vote. And democracy cannot work for all people if all people do not express themselves. So go vote.
Hey there, Michael Shannon here. I'm in Australia, which is very far away from the US of A, but I still plan on voting. I've sent away for my ballot, and I'm going to FedEx it back to my house, and then my father-in-law is going to submit it for me. And I'm doing all this because I don't know if you can hear in the background, but there's kids, my kids in the background, and I'm doing it for them and their future, and you need to do it too. Thanks.
Right now, feel what you're feeling. Right now, speak your mind. Right now, treat each other like sisters and brothers of the humankind. Right now, start the healing. Right now, free your mind. Right now, greet each other like sisters and brothers of the humankind. We've been down this road before. We know how this story ends. We can choose another path and walk along like friends. Well, don't let them divide us or say that we don't belong. They can never hide us because together we're so strong. Right now, feel what you're feeling. Right now, speak your mind. Right now, greet each other like sisters and brothers of the humankind. Right now, start the healing. Right now, free your mind. Right now, treat each other like sisters and brothers of the humankind. Kindness that's contagious, the wise woman said. We're all created equal. We're gonna let that message spread. Now if I'm quiet and I listen to the songs of native lands, or know what I've been missing, we are strong when we hold hands. Right now, feel what you're feeling. Right now, speak your mind. Right now, treat each other like sisters and brothers of the humankind. Right now, start the healing. Right now, free your mind. Right now, greet each other like sisters and brothers of the humankind. Sisters and brothers of the humankind. Right now.
To close out our show, it's a party in Ohio. When I say OH, you say? Yeah, the people who are from there know that was for you. I love your state. We've got 2 back-to-back interviews for you. We'll hear from Matt Berninger, the frontman of the Grammy Award-winning rock band The National, in conversation with Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Connie Schultz. But first, this is gonna be fun. We have a lively conversation with Senator Brown and alt-rock legends and twin sisters, Kim and Kelly Deal from The Breeders. In between, we'll have a performance by another Ohio native, Cleveland's own Cautious Clay. Following that, we'll leave you with a powerful performance by California's own local natives. And be sure to tune in to Rolling Stone on November 2nd. There'll be a special bonus conversation with Princess Nokia in conversation with Democratic superstar Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight and to all those who participated in our show. Thank you for using your voice to mobilize the vote. I'm gonna leave you with these words by the great John Lewis. Sometimes you have to not just dream about what could be. You get out and push, and you pull, and you preach, and you create a climate and environment to get those in high places, to get men and women of goodwill and power to act. Thank you, good night, and vote.
Has anybody ever told you remind them of Robert Pollard from Guided by Voices?
We've not talked about this.
Robert Pollard. I don't know if anybody's
Pollard
that.
from Guided by Voices,
Yeah.
Dayton hero. You
Is that
remind
good
me.
or bad?
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Hold on a second. Who's older of you two?
I'm older. I'm older by 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
Yeah, and she is younger. She's the baby of the family. And those 11 minutes, she is the baby.
Those were crucial developing minutes.
She's so much more sophisticated and smarter.
Kim never got over it, did she, Kelly?
Actually, I can't get over it. She's such a baby. Sherry, where did you go?
Oh, no. Wait.
There you go. There you go. Really quickly.
You know what? Hold on a second.
Okay. Senator Brown, the people that I know are musicians, artists, house painters, and home healthcare workers. I know very few people that get their health insurance from their employer. Can you talk about what the election means to the Affordable Care Act?
Yeah, it means a lot of things to a lot of people. For friends of yours who are 23 years old, they can now be on their parents' health plan. That'll be gone. For people who are in Medicaid expansion, there are 600,000 of them in Ohio. Their insurance could be gone. For people a little older than you are, well, a good bit older than you are, that might be on Medicare, they would lose their prescription drug benefit, which saves many people in Medicare an average of $1,100 a year. If you're on Medicare, the Affordable Care Act also means that you can get a free annual physical if your doctor prescribes it, or an osteoporosis screening, or other things that people need as they reach that age. And the most important, probably the most important thing, though, is if you have a pre-existing condition and you're over 50, so the chances are you do. There are 5 million people in Ohio have a pre-existing condition, basically everybody our age, and our age is, say, 50 and up, have a pre-existing condition. That means that the insurance companies, until 10 years ago, insurance companies like that could cut you off or charge you more if you had an illness. If it could be hypertension, it could be diabetes, it could be any number of illnesses that people have. And the insurance companies, we changed the law 10 years ago, so you can't charge people more with pre-existing condition, and you can't cancel their insurance, deny them insurance. And it was 5 million before the pandemic. Now we have tens of thousands of people that have had COVID and they have a pre-existing condition. So the Trump is doing this in the middle of a pandemic and jamming a Supreme Court nominee who will help him do it through the Congress as people start voting. People, in Ohio, I think close to 1 million people, I think, have already voted. I don't know the whole number, including you two, including my wife and me. Yeah. And it's just incomprehensible and mean-spirited and nasty, all because they do whatever the insurance industry wants them to do.
Dr. Joe
With her glasses.
Yeah. Dr. Joe
Is that her
Biden.
pre-existing condition? She can't see very well anymore?
She's got so many. We can't, you don't want to get into that now.
It's hard to count. Go for it.
Dr. Joe Biden tweeted out that one vote could be the difference between winning and losing a district. One precinct could win a state, and one state could decide our future for generations. One vote. My question is, what message do you have for people who may think their vote doesn't really matter?
The election 4 years ago came down between Clinton and Trump, came down to 70,000 votes in the whole country, and those were in 3 states. So one vote could matter in a local race. It can matter in a state race. It's pretty effortless to vote. Just make a plan to vote. Just figure out with some friends, find 5 friends, and the people that might not be as interested as the two of you are in voting. You're obviously activists and care about this. Find 5 friends that aren't, and sit down and talk to them about why this matters. And you just feel good about casting a vote. If you feel the way that I think the two of you do and I do about Donald Trump, it just feels good to vote knowing that you're playing a role in changing this country. because if he's president 4 more years, people my children's age and my grandchildren's age are going to be saddled with the damage he does for a long time. And knowing that you can tell your kids and grandkids, hey, you know, I did this for my country, and it mattered and it had an impact.
One of the things I'm doing is I'm going to be working at the poll that day. So that's another way of volunteering. So that's great. What can we all do to help over the next few weeks?
Well, you can certainly work at the polls. You know, it's hard to find poll workers this year because of the coronavirus. So it's good you're doing that. And the most important thing you can do is what I said earlier: find 5 people and talk to them about making a plan to vote. So you don't just get up on election day and think, do I vote or did I vote or do I want to vote or I don't feel very good, whatever. So make a plan and try to vote early. More people are voting early this year than any time in history. But all of us should take it on ourselves to find 5 people, particularly young people who are less likely to vote. You know, as you get older, you're more likely to vote. 20-year-olds are less likely. Find 5 particularly young people and just talk to them about making a plan to vote and doing it with them.
I don't know if I can do that.
I can come. You come here. Come on, we're going.
Well, they're young and it's like I'm bullying them, or like if their parents are going to get mad, then I'm like, hey, come here. Psst, psst.
Hey, Kelly, finding 5 younger voters, Kim doesn't count as one of them.
I don't even know.
Even though she's 11 minutes younger.
I don't even know if I know 5 young people. If I walked up, they'd just scurry away.
Is there a young person in your home?
And I know you have young friends, Kim. You played music to young kids. You have young friends and you can get them to vote.
Yeah, like I said, I got no problem. Just take them by the scruff.
Well, Kim, if you don't do it, Kelly's got to find 10.
Yeah.
Is this whole relationship always been that, Kelly, that you're the older sister, the younger sister doesn't do squat and you got to make up for it?
That's right. It's right.
Not fair, is it?
No, it's not. My eyeballs are rolling out of my face.
Kim, I'm the youngest of 3, and I know what it's like to be picked on and beaten up and bullied. It's just not fair, is it?
I think we covered it.
So too.
Cool. Well, thank you. This was fun. You guys are a hoot. I look forward to seeing you, and I'll see you at the Funk Hall of Fame one of these days.
Oh, sounds great.
Cool.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. See ya.
Hey, what's up? It's Cautious Clay. Hope this really goes without saying, but it's really, 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 really important that we're all voting in general, but especially this year. I think we have a lot at stake, and it's important that we are speaking up for the most disenfranchised people in our cities and places all over the country. So that's personally why I'm voting and why I have voted in the past. So I hope you are all doing the same. Anyway, this is a song that I wrote called Agreeable, and I'm gonna do an acoustic version. It goes a little like this. What I want falls shorter than perfect, but better than earnest. Do better next time when your life wasn't worth it. Don't wanna be nice, I just wanna be right. I don't wanna break bread. How much better would it be if we had to start fights? Doing anything and everything possible. If you start a fire, stop, drop and roll. I don't need your thoughts, I don't wanna know what you're offering. Don't need posturing, there's no doubt in my mind. There's no worries on God. But if you're taking my side, I don't wanna know why, I don't wanna know why. Arms open and wide, I'm entitled out loud. But if you're taking my side, I don't wanna know why, I don't wanna know why. Money is cheap, so I talk too much. Low hanging fruit, so I pack a lunch. Every time that I press my luck, I know it's worth more than enough. Doing anything and everything possible. If you start a fire, stop, drop it, roll. no doubt in my mind. There's no worries on God. But if you're taking my side, I don't wanna know why. I don't wanna know why. Arms open and wide, I'm entitled, not lied. If you're taking my side, I don't wanna know why. I don't wanna know why. Yeah. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. I don't wanna know why.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Rolling Stone. Hope you all have a lovely day. Please vote. Bye.
What an honor to be able to talk to both of you guys. Ohioans, a married couple. Connie, a Pulitzer Prize winning author, and Sherrod Brown, such a cool senator from my hometown. I'm from Cincinnati. Well, let's jump right in. Senator Brown, you've talked so elegantly about and beautifully about the dignity of work. And I know Ohio's lost a lot of jobs and with GM and all those things. I guess I wanted to ask you, people are desperate, people are losing their jobs, they're losing their healthcare and all these things. And now with COVID and yeah, I like to hear you talk about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the dignity of work goes back to, I mean, Dr. King would talk a lot about the dignity of work, and he really pointed out so well that worker rights and civil rights are really sort of one and the same. People want to work, they want to be able to provide for their family, and they deserve a living wage, and they deserve health care and a pension with it. And that's really the fight I think that's the fight Joe Biden's making in this campaign, and he'll make next year as president. And it's the fight we all in public office should be making.
By connecting sort of just the working class, all the working class people and civil rights, and I'll even say, a woman's rights and to healthcare and even getting into, pro-choice in a woman's right to choose. I think so many of these things are all connected. Do you guys have thoughts on that? Connie?
Connie, you want to go on that? Yeah.
I don't know, honey. Do you think we ever talk about this stuff? Everybody's more complicated than we try to depict them when we start talking about different groups of people. And every issue that you mentioned, Matt, is really a family issue, right? Women's issues are family issues. Yeah. When we talk about healthcare, certainly they're family issues. When we talk about the dignity of work, these are all issues around the family and who do we want to be as a country in terms of how we treat our families, regardless of race or gender or sexual orientation. How do we want to be as a country and how we treat them? And I am most encouraged right now by the voter turnout. If we keep doing what we're doing right now, we are going to have a record turnout for this election. And I think that bodes really well for all the groups of people you just mentioned.
Great. And
Matt, I think especially because of this pandemic about essential workers, there's, companies that we all say thank you to the essential workers. The essential workers, where they're the bus driver and the person that prepares food and does security and custodial work and the grocery store worker, one grocery store worker in the part of the state you grew up and said to me, they say I'm essential, but I really feel expendable because they don't pay me much and they don't protect me at work. And essential workers are more often women than men. They're disproportionately people of color. They're paid often less than adequate wages. And we expect them to be serving the public exposed to the virus. And then they come home and have the anxiety of am I infecting my family? And I just think we should honor those workers with pandemic pay. We should honor those workers by just a decent standard of living and the kind of benefits that many get in the workplace, but we don't reward work the way we used to 10 and 20 years ago, in part because of the decline of unions, in part because of a government that rewards wealth way more than it rewards work.
Everyone wants to get back to work, but people, it's dangerous and feels like because there's so much misinformation. And now, with COVID, there's been so much selling of fear instead of solutions. And from all sides of it, I feel like journalism and news is feeding, is click hungry, and the best thing that to get the clicks is fear. And they're both both sides of the political spectrum are using fear. And talk about that a little bit. From as a journalist and from a politician, the role of trying to understand fear and how not to sell that, I guess. And
first of all, I think it is so important to acknowledge that we are a nation in mourning. And it's not just the people who have lost one or more of those more than 220,000 now who have died from COVID. It's all those families who had somebody dying of something else and couldn't be near them because of the restrictions of COVID. So you have millions in this country right now who are grieving. It's very hard at this point to not know. If you don't know somebody who's had COVID, you know somebody who knows somebody who's had COVID. I do think fear can be disabling. It's hard to talk about COVID and the dangers of it without making people scared. However, we've never been more powerful as individuals in that if we wear masks, if we socially distance, if we have to be out in public, we make sure we wear masks and stay far apart. We quarantine, we don't go to large gatherings. We're wearing masks to protect one another, right? To protect the other person. If we do it in large numbers, we've never been more powerful. We know how effective this can be. We see how quickly the rates of infection go down when people wear them. The big problem is the president of the United States has been advocating against this. And aside from the fact that he wants to ignore science, that he wants to always be the smartest guy in the room when he's the least informed and willfully ignorant person in the room, he wants us to feel powerless. And it really occurred to me over time that part of where he thinks his power comes from is to make the American public feel helpless. And the difference is we hold the punchline because we have the vote. And I think there's such a great power in that.
Yeah.
Matt, imagine if Trump back in March or in February, when he found out, January, February, if he had instead of lying to us, if he had just treated us as adults and said, this is a really, really serious illness and we all need to wear masks, we all need to socially distance. If he had done that, our kids would be back in school in person, our businesses people be back at work in large numbers, and tens of thousands of people would still be alive. I mean, there's just no question if he had addressed us and done this as an adult, treated us as adults, it'd be a very different country now.
Yeah, Senator Brown, you've done so well in Ohio, in such a it's such a divided swing state, and you've talked really beautifully about how great progress does happen in times of great darkness and great struggle, and not only with COVID and with jobs and but even with mental illness and drug addiction and prescription drugs and everything and all that kind of thing, and it's probably going to get darker for a little while. And you speak really directly and honestly about that. What do you see? How do you see a way through the darkness and onto the other side?
I just think of the role of government that you're right, out of dark times come some of the darkest times we've had as a country, and this is certainly the darkest in our lifetimes. Come good things. And when for the reason I'm optimistic, and I know Connie is too, is because this is very increasingly likely to be a new progressive era. When progressives win in the House and the Senate, in the White House, whether it was with Johnson or with Roosevelt or even with Obama, we do big things that last a long time. We do Medicare, we do Social Security, we do rural electrification, we do the Higher Ed Act and civil rights and voting rights and the Affordable Care Act. And so when we win, we do big things. And that's what 2020 is going to look like. I mean, we need to address the big moral issues of our time and, start with expanding democracy with the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and look at what we do in climate change and the great moral issues of dealing with structural racism and wealth inequality. And I think that Biden, is the most pro-worker candidate we've nominated in decades, and Trump has betrayed workers, and that contrast between somebody that's going to fight for the dignity of work against somebody that just has no regard for workers at all and treats even the people around him that way. And I think that contrast is so strong that we're going to see some really big things happen next year.
I feel that way too. I feel like we're on the cusp of something really progressive and positive, and on the other side of this dark stuff, it's going to be much brighter than it maybe has been in like you said, in decades. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to both of you guys so much. This has been really enlightening and really inspiring. I want to, voting early is still happening in Ohio, right? And that's
so important.
Today. Yeah, so you can go and keep voting early in Ohio and all the way up and through election day.
That's right.
Well, Matt, thank you for your role in the Obama campaign and helping to launch that progressive era where you used your music to contribute so much. And thank you for doing that. And thanks for having Connie and me. Connie, you want to?
I just want to say, Matt, thanks for showing up, man. That's what you're doing. Day after day, you're showing up. That's what it is. So thank you for having us.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
Thank you guys so much. Talk to you soon.